Okay, so good morning to all of you. I'm Dr.
Good
Reema
morning.
Sham, Head of the Department IISMS, School of Management Studies. A very warm welcome to you to the seminar on the theme Entrepreneurship, Myths and Reality. As per the Economic Survey of 2019-20, the bottom of the pyramid entrepreneurship in India has seen a significant growth in the recent years. Referring to the data from the World Bank, the survey says that the number of new firms in the formal sector has grown significantly to 12.2% between 2014 and 19. With India having a significant population of youths, entrepreneurship could be a major pull factor in the upcoming years. Today's speaker and resource person is a very young, dynamic entrepreneur, Mr. Mazen Mustafa, founder Azlan Design. Azlan is an enterprise which is into graphic designs and interior designing. Mr. Mazen currently operates from Muscat, but Azlan Studios has its branch in Calicut, Kerala too. Well, this was Mr. Mazen's formal introduction. However, I would like to share my thoughts as Mazen's teacher. My first interaction with Mazen was in the year 2015 at MS Ramaiah College, where Mazen had enrolled for his MBA course. As a student, Mazen was intelligent, well-informed, updated, and very passionate during his class presentations. I would look forward to listening to him as he's always had something new and interesting to share in the class. I still recall when I had first requested Mazen to come over to ISMS to deliver a talk on entrepreneurship, he immediately consented. All these years, he's remained connected and greets affectionately in his usual style, "Lovely morning, man." Always cheerful, brimming with enthusiasm, and ever generous to extend any help. I feel so proud to have a student like Mazen, and I hope he achieves much more in the years to come. So on that note, I request Mr. Mazen to take over the session. Over to you, Mazen.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sorry for interruption.
It's okay, sir.
Yeah. Participants, kindly request to please mute your microphone, switch off your video. Okay, any doubts, any clarification, you can put it in the chat box. And feedback link will be shared at last. So make sure you fill it immediately after the session. Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay. 1 second. Huh? Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a lovely introduction. Also, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thanks goes to Indian Academy Students Management Studies College, as well as you and this platform to make this happen. To all those who are listening over here, I hope to make this 1 hour we have in hand one of the most beneficial time utilization session. So, as ma'am introduced me, I think that was the best summarized intro someone good could give about me. And I actually got goosebumps over here when ma'am was saying those lovely words about me. Thank you so much, ma'am. It really means a lot. So, as ma'am said, I'm entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Azlan Designs. We are into interior design and graphic design. We are based out of Sultanate of Oman, Muscat. That's who I am today, okay? But what I'm trying to do and my focus is to tell you guys where it all started and how I got here where I am today. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, the main point which most of the people miss out is, why did I introduce myself as an entrepreneur and not a businessman? or what is the difference between a business, an entrepreneurship, a startup? I know most of you might have gone through definitions, classes, and seminars and presentation about these topics, but it's a very thin line. When I'm here to share my little experience I have gained through these years, and the realities I faced against my expectation I had of while becoming an entrepreneur. So to start with my story, we will have to go a little time like to the past, which was maybe, let's say, 2013, where I was a little more younger, as ma'am said, energetic and enthusiastic, optimistic. You can have many more adjectives to it to make it to glorify it. So back then was 2013. I was in my college graduation final semester. Till then, I actually never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Or to be very frank, I didn't even know there existed a word called entrepreneurship, or there is a complete, a lot of theories, and there's a stream called entrepreneurship. So firstly, I would like to differentiate between entrepreneurship and business. It's a very thin line, as I said. So, okay. See, business and entrepreneurship, it's not like you differentiate between, a cow and a lion. If I ask you to differentiate, you have so many, explanation to it. One is a herbivorous, one is a carnivorous. They have canine teeth, and so on and on. But now, actually, when we talk about business and entrepreneurship, what we are actually trying to differentiate is what is the difference between a lion and a cub. A cub is a younger lion. So the real difference is just the maturity. So I would say entrepreneurship is a stepping stone or a starting level of a business. Entrepreneurship can be, it's a kind of business, but where there is no business model existing, there is no current assets, liabilities, accounting, HR, all those streams are completely, absent in this entrepreneurship. So to start to be an entrepreneur, it's not necessary like you have a well set plan, all those said. It could be just you. For example, I'll take Reena ma'am's case. I'm taking Reena ma'am's case because you all are very familiar with her, and if you're following her on Facebook, you could see some of the days she starts a day with presenting posts on beautiful flowers from a garden. So it shows she is a little bit passionate about her garden and the flowers which are grown there. And it also, she says it's not her garden, it's her mom's, and her daughter waters it sometimes. So if she wants to commercialize it or think of it as an entrepreneur model, maybe she could start a YouTube channel one day saying, this is my little garden, okay, the little paradise she has, and how she does it, how she grows, how she nurtures it, takes care of it. And through it, maybe she can start selling her plants one by one for interior purpose to exterior purpose, how much you should water it, what is the time gap. So all those kind of stuff, what different kinds of plants are there in a garden, which might be interesting. And it's actually 3 generations, her mom, her and her daughter, speaking about it, which they are really passionate about. So entrepreneurship can be really that simple. So for me, 2013, when I was, as I said, young, not only young, to be a little more clear about it, I'm really blessed by the family I'm born into in different ways. So one of the thing being, my dad is also into business, and he is doing pretty well for himself. He is into hypermarkets, supermarkets, restaurants, cafe, hospitality, all those streams. And in Muscat, the typical Mallu in Gulf. So that would what we might have to name him. And I'm his son. So the most expected out of me is to be the next guy who takes care of all these things. So even I was trained myself to be that way. But then what happened was, during my final year of college, one fine day, one of my friends happens to come down from Kerala to Muscat. we just thought of catching up. He was with me in school from, let's say, 8th standard. So he was like, Mazen, I have an idea I was just thinking of. And it's about, he recently went to a seminar and they were quoting so many beautiful words said by so many people like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln. And he actually thinks these quotes needs to be evangelized and it can create ripples in people's life. Which is actually true, because even today on social media, we see a lot of posts and with a lot of quotes, which actually inspires us. Even yesterday, it was remembering APJ Abdul Kalam, sir. So I was going through few of his quotes and it actually touched me, really touched me. And it still inspires me. So back then in 2013, we thought these needs to go out. And the idea he came up with was to make t-shirts having those quotes written. So in 2013, t-shirts were a trend. Wearing them with quotes were even better. So, okay, we thought, okay, we had this idea. We really discussed about it, how we can take it further. When he went home and he had to discuss with his family, because he has got this idea and he wants to be an entrepreneur. So talking about his family, he comes from a family where most of the people are professionals. They're engineers, doctors, advocates, teachers, anything. And he was supposed to be the next engineer from his family because he was doing his engineering 3rd year at that time. So he's the next engineer from his home. And he goes and pitches in this idea of evangelizing good messages to the public through t-shirts, and we are going to sell it. Trust me, that is the first time there was actually so much terror at his house. Everyone, every single person was against him. They're like, you're on 3rd year of your engineering, you're supposed to complete your engineering and be an engineer, work for some company, someplace. That's what we all have been doing. And what you're talking about is business or entrepreneurship. And that's not for us. So the first myth comes there. So I'll slightly start sharing my slide. Can you see the slide, ma'am?
No, Mazen.
No? Are you presenting your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it's coming.
Started presenting.
Yeah. So then we came across the first myth: entrepreneurs are born that way. His mom actually said it. His mom was like, cross. So an entrepreneur, it can be, those skills can be learned, and there are different platforms at different times which we can really learn it. So when his mom told him entrepreneurs are born that way, we had to correct her by saying entrepreneurs are not born but made. That was the time of saying, and now down the line, past 7 years, we think we have actually proved entrepreneurs are not born and they're made. So to start with, but she had a point. The point is we lacked certain skills to start a business. So talking about a business, the first business was t-shirt business. And to sell t-shirts, we had the idea, we knew what was the product. And the second step, as you know, was how do we sell it? From where do we acquire it? How much do we sell it? So many questions. But during that time, we thought of going online. So we had a little exposure, as ma'am said, like, we were reading books, magazines, articles, all the stuff which came across. So we are reading articles from US, UK, different part of the world, but things were a little different from where we were. So over there, the online boom had actually started. But when I'm saying 2013 in India, 2013, it's 7 years back, guys, 7 years back. I'm not sure how many of you knew even Amazon, Myntra, or Flipkart back then. Or I think even few of them didn't exist at that point of time. So at that time, we thought of an online store, and we were like, we're going to sell our t-shirts online. That itself was a big no from so many people. Anyway, we decided to go ahead. So we found a platform called Shopify. I don't know how many of you are familiar. So Shopify is a platform which helps you to build websites and online stores, etc. So back then it was really new. They had really some features which would help us to go forward. So we started learning Shopify, where you could add your product, the price, the description you could give. It would track our shipping. All those things could be done on that. But we are selling online, and people needs to know this. So we thought about it, and then we came across social media marketing. So when you talk about social media marketing back then, there were very little platforms on social media. One could be Facebook. Instagram just launched. They didn't have any marketing tools with them at that point of time. So it was basically Facebook. So we started learning how to sell our products through Facebook marketing. So we made a page. The company was called Life is a Loom. Our t-shirt company's name was Life is a Loom. And we started a Facebook page on that. We wrote a little description. We added our products. We started making posters so that we could take our people through Facebook to our website. So we learned a lot about social media marketing during that time. And my partner at that point of time, his name is Raiz. Sorry, I didn't mention his name earlier. His name is Raiz. So he fell sick. And then what happened was he had a little time in hand, and he decided to design the posters by himself. Today we have a lot of tools to do that, but back then the only option you have was to learn a software which was meant for designing. So you have Illustrator, you have CorelDRAW, so many softwares. But then in India, CorelDRAW was a software which is most commonly used. So he started learning CorelDRAW by using YouTube. He was good enough in a way where he could make posters which people liked. Okay, so we reached till there, and then we went on with our journey. So over there, while we started our journey, we did break the first myth we came across, which are entrepreneurs are born that way. The second myth, when you start a business, you usually have is, okay, let's think some of you want to be an entrepreneur. So when you tell someone, I want to be an entrepreneur, they ask you, what is your big idea? Or what is that big idea you have? What is the next big idea you have? So you get so many questions on your idea. We were selling t-shirts, and that's not a big deal, guys. That's not a big deal. That's nothing like, a eureka moment you have, that you have found something really big and new. It was just a normal idea of selling t-shirts with good messages. So to start as an entrepreneur, as I said before, you could be just passionate about something, or you feel there is a need in the market and there is a gap which you can fill in, and you just start. So for that, you don't need a big idea at all. And some people are so obsessed with the idea. Even us, we knew we had a very small idea of selling t-shirts, but we wanted to make it look big or great idea, because people around us always questioned about our idea. I'll just have some water. So what we did was, we associated a CSR plan with our business model, where we advertised telling people we would donate 30% of our profits for good, because our t-shirt existed for good, where you wear goodness, which means goodness, and you weave goodness. So we came up with so much idea, and we were trying to make that selling t-shirt into a big idea, which truly was a bad idea because that was a myth, and we were a victim. We tried to make our good idea actually into something bigger, which didn't work out. So most of the people, when they say about idea, they think they need an idea where they can change the world. Their idea should be so superb that it should change the world. So anything less than that, they don't settle. They don't want to start because they don't have that big idea. You know, the only thing that changed the world is someone eating a bat in Wuhan, someone's back. That's the only thing that changed the complete world. Or else the least what you can do is you can impact certain countries, you can impact certain areas, you can influence certain people. Obviously, yes. But there is no that big idea that changes the whole world. The only thing which changed the whole world was coronavirus, and every individual got affected by it. So that's the only thing till today I know which changed the world. So don't go for that big idea which changes the world. Have an idea, bring a system. You have to do different other things to actually sell your products. It doesn't completely depend on your big idea. So don't wait for the big idea to come in. Have the good idea you have, enhance it, develop it, boom, start off. So that would be the second myth. You need a big idea to be an entrepreneur. Now going to the third one. You need a business plan to succeed. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is one of the biggest myths you can come across. I'm sure if you are planning to be an entrepreneur, you might have been asked this question, or you yourself thought you need a business plan. So truly we need a business plan, but it's not like where do you see yourself after 10 years? Seriously, where do you see yourself after 10 years? I barely know what I'm going to have for lunch, and I need to know what I'm going to have be where I'm after 10 years. So when you make a business plan, there should be a vision, like what you want to be. Then what people actually confuse you, mostly I have seen on online YouTube channels and everything, people ask, why are you on this earth? You need to find the meaning of life, your purpose of living. Like what does your business do? Where do you see yourself? Trust me, nobody can predict so much. Nobody can predict so much. Obviously, you have certain milestones set in your mind where you have to be, but how do you get there? You don't have to, you don't have to know it. You don't have to know it to start, to know where you have to be after 5 years or 10 years. So when you start a business, it's actually like you're traveling towards somewhere. Let's say from point A to point B via road. So when you leave from your home towards your college, you might come across certain roundabouts, signals, flyovers, etc., etc., etc. So you can't say you will leave from your home only when all these roads is cleared and all the signals are green, which means you're not going to go to college. It's not going to happen. So what you do is you get ready, you set off your travel, you start from point A, maybe the signal is green, you move on, next signal is red, you wait over there, then there is a lot of traffic on the way, so you know an easier way to reach your destination, so you should take the shortcuts. So the plan keeps on changing, you know. It's not a set plan where you know everything and you're going to by dot. It doesn't work that way. It's from point A to B, but you have to go A1, A2, A3, A4, maybe in between. So it works differently for different people, but I don't disagree that some people really have it planned out. For example, I have a friend of mine in school. So when I was in 9th standard, he told me, Mazen, we have to study well and score at least 80% in 10th standard. So when we reached 10th, he got 94% and I got 74. So when we finished, he said, okay, after 10th, we have to join to this particular school and we have to do he wanted to do ED, engineering drawing. So he joined for that course, and from there I asked him, what is your next plan? He told me, after this, I want to go join Vellore Institute of Technology. So while he finished his 12th, he enrolled for entrance exams, he got it, and then he went to Vellore Institute of Technology. And from there, while his engineering third year or something, he had come down to Bangalore, And I met him and I asked him, what's your next plan? So he was like, I'm moving to US, Chicago, and I'm looking for a particular university and I want to do it there. So while he was there, I was on call with him once and I asked him, what is your next plan? So he told me he's planning to move to Sweden because there's a particular kind of engineering which he wants to do a PhD in. And then later on, he did that. And after that, I asked him, what is your next plan? So he was like, now it's time. I think I'll get married. So he already found a girl and he is about to get married this year. But this time, his plan didn't work out because he was planning to get married in March. Now it's already July. So he'll get married, but not as per his plan. So something changed his plan, but still he got almost planned. So some people do have it even in their business or in personal life, whatever it is, but not all have to have that complete plan sorted out to start this. For us, as I told you, we started off with online marketing on Facebook to sell t-shirts, but it didn't work out. People didn't know. Much people are not active on Facebook. They didn't believe in those ads. They thought online business was some kind of trap. We are going to take all the money from their bank accounts. So it is really hard for us to sell. So what we thought next was we would print brochures and flyers of our t-shirts and distribute it in our colleges and neighborhood, all those places, people whom we know, so that they know about us. So we went to a printing press. I still remember this very clearly. So I asked him how much is it to print 1,000 brochures. So he told me somewhere around 4,000 or 3,000 rupees. Then I asked him how much is it for 2,000. He told me it's 5,000 rupees. At the end, this guy convinced us to print 12,000 flyers for, I think, 10,000 rupees. We calculated in all the possible ways we could. We were making a huge profit. We took those flyers when it was ready to be collected. We went on our bikes. We went over there. There was a huge heap of flyers, 12,000 copies. We were like, oh my God. Then we had to get a vehicle to load it and get it unloaded. We didn't know where to keep it. So we went and kept it in one of my friend's house, which after 2 months, his mom warned us she would burn it if we wouldn't take it from there. So the next thing we had to do was we had to find a small place so that we could store this. So finding that place to store this was our first office we found. It was next to our college. It's a small room. The rent was somewhere around 5,000. In a corner, we could keep these. And we had 2 chairs to have our little discussions on what we would do with these things. So there came a point we knew we will be never able to distribute these 12,000 flyers or brochures, and we decided, how about we start making pencils out of these? So we went to Chennai to learn about it. So many things we did. What I'm trying to say is, it doesn't always work as planned. You read somewhere and then you see what is to be done. So while taking that store, it wasn't planned. Then we came to know we have to register. So while registering our company, we needed a place and address, which we already had. So that made that process easy. So we all, so-called office, address on business card was ready by then. So we didn't have a plan. Actually, we stick to it. We fell into it. So you don't need a plan to start or to be an entrepreneur. So that's the myth number 3, which we faced as a reality than our expectation. So going to next, it will be myth number 4. You should be a know-it-all to be an entrepreneur. This is a myth again. People really don't be an entrepreneur because I asked them, what's stopping you from being an entrepreneur? They're like, dude, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to look after accounts, which I'm not familiar with. I'm a science student and I don't know how to do with accounts and current assets and liabilities, cash flow. All these things really confuses me and I really don't know how to work about it. Then I meet few other people who say, see, I'm a complete tech-oriented person. I know how to code and all those things, but it needs a good design, and I don't know how to design. So I really don't think I can be an entrepreneur. So on and off, people have so many things they don't know, which they believe stops them from being an entrepreneur. But sometimes it's okay to not know everything. And certain times it's very silly. You don't know some of the most common things which everyone else knows. I had this experience when I came down to Bangalore from Muscat for my master's MBA. I went to one of the colleges. I wouldn't take the name. But when I went over there, they asked me, Mazen, do you have math? So I was like, math? What is this guy asking? Why is he even concerned if I have math? Then he's like, I was like, no. Then he's like, do you have cat? I was like, yeah, cats. So I had 8 cats at home, and I don't know how stupid I was to really think he was talking about cats. And I told him I have. Then I came out, and a friend explained to me, cat and math are aptitude tests you need to take to, enroll to get enrolled in MBA. So I didn't know that. But not knowing that didn't stop me from pursuing my post-graduation or MBA, whatever it is. So at certain times you don't know it, it's okay, you learn about it and you move on. So even to be an entrepreneur, who said you have to know everything? You don't have to know everything at all. One more example I would like to give is, Reena ma'am had sent me the poster for this seminar we have today. So on that, it was written, what is it written? Entrepreneur. So this is the first time I came across that word, and I really didn't know. So the first thought was, I'll ask ma'am what it is. So I asked her, I think she was busy with something, so she didn't reply at that point of time. So I Googled about it. So when I Googled about it, it said to take an initiation or to take an action on something. So that actually summarizes it. To be an entrepreneur, you don't need to know it all. What you have to actually do is to take actions and initiation. And that's what we took that day without knowing it all. And our entrepreneur's journey started somewhere there. So same way, you guys, if you think the same, what we thought, and it's stopping you, let's break that myth and get you guys started. And today, I want to give out a few platforms which would really help you if you're stuck with these points. For example, for accounting purpose, there is a software called QuickBooks. It's really easy. Any person without having even the basic knowledge can get used to it. There are a few tutorials if you have to go through, but it wouldn't take more than 3 to 4 days for you to have the basic idea, and you can completely do your accounts on that software. So I use QuickBooks, so I strongly suggest. Then some people say they don't know about marketing, so there are different books. You don't have time to read, it's okay. There is an application called Audible, so you can use those applications to, Audible is just one example which I use, but you can use any other platforms as well, which it really doesn't matter. Then for marketing purpose, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, then you have WhatsApp Business. All those are simple things which you are already familiar. It's just that you have to use it wisely in a better way. You don't have to know everything, but you can use the things you know in a better way. And that being said, this is just something which strikes my mind now. I know we have a habit of underestimating Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint presentation. So even though if you don't know all, trust me, try to get a grip of these 3, Microsoft Excel, Word and PowerPoint presentation. It will help you a lot while you're on your entrepreneurial journey, because you can do your calculations and everything in accounts, your sales, you can, do all those things. You can write letters, your, written contents on Microsoft Word. And if you have to present it to someone, Microsoft PowerPoint presentation will help you. Not only Microsoft now, I think even on Google, you have Google Sheets and Google presentations and so many things. So it's not about which platforms you use, but these are easily, freely available to you. And when you get time, try to get a grip of it. So getting a grip of these small things will help you to be an entrepreneur, and you don't have to have the whole thing to know everything to be an entrepreneur. So that's the fourth myth. I think I was able to break it down for you, and which might be holding someone back to be an entrepreneur. Next comes an introduction about my company. So before we go into the myth, I'm talking about Azlan here now. Okay, and as ma'am said, this is our current business. So I told you we started from a t-shirt business called Life is a Loom, and my current business is Azlan, where we are a graphic design agency and interior design agency. So where are the t-shirts gone? So that's our entrepreneurial story actually. We started with Life is a Loom, online store was done, social media marketing was learned, flyers were printed, but nothing did work for us. One of our clients asked us, you guys have... Sorry. So one of our clients told us, your t-shirt designs are so good, so could you please design a logo for us? We're like, what? We sell t-shirts and they appreciate our designs are good and they want us to do a logo for them. As it is, not much business are happening, so we decided to design a logo for them. And at that point of time, we didn't know that was the birth of a new designing agency from us. And then after designing that logo for him, he was starting a restaurant, so he needed a menu for it. So we started designing the menu for him. Then he needed social media marketing, which we already have done before for our company. So now we were doing it for someone else. So that's how we became a design agency. Then we have, our tagline is on the move. Why we said on the move is because the same story goes, because we really don't stick on to something. We really don't stick on to something. We keep moving from one thing to another, and we believe it's for better. So we are Azlan, we are on the move. We are an idea jungle that creates innovative solutions that your brand needs. It is our promise and privilege to create outstanding brands or take existing brands from what it is to something absolutely extraordinary. So this is a promise we give to our clients today, and all this is possible because we started somewhere as an entrepreneur by selling t-shirts, and that actually helped us evolve into a designing agency. And now our services include interior design, marketing, web design, and branding. So how did you, being a graphic design, how did we end up in web design? So some of our clients had this misconception: design is everything. Like, you know, if you're a designer, you can design the house, you can design the website, you can design the clothes. There is no graphic designer, there is no interior designer, there is no fashion designer. Everything is one. If you're a designer, you can design everything. So they had that misconception, which worked in favor for us, because once I started doing branding for them, which includes logo design and graphic design, they would ask me, Mazen, we need a website, so could you design it for us? Obviously, I didn't have the knowledge, but I could surely find someone who could do it for me. And that was how I got into web design. Then, as I told you, marketing was social media marketing, which we had done for previous company. And now we were able to do the same service, and we were getting paid for our customers. Then one of my clients told me, Mazen, you have built a brand, the logo and everything, but I need this feel inside my office. So how do we bring that? So that is the first time I recollected one of my friends who was back in India, who worked with us earlier, and he's an interior designer. So I went down, I met him, we talked about it, and that's how the company, which was only located in Muscat, also had a branch in Calicut, Kerala, India, which is mainly focused on interior designing. At that point of time, it was not an office, but it was just born. We'll be completing our second year next month, August 14th. I can proudly say, from one person, we have turned into a 3-floor building called Aslan Towers in India. We have one floor where it's completely focusing on interior design. The other floor is for graphic design. And we have a rooftop area, which has a small dining area, recreational activities, and a washroom. So it wasn't planned. It just came and it happened for us in a way from the experiences which we gained at some point of time, and we didn't know this was happening. But we actually, what we did was, we didn't stop at any point. We always tried to learn something and make the best use for us and for our customers. This is about us and how we differentiate it. But that being said, this is a little things about us, how far we reached by breaking the previous 4 myths. Now I'll go into the next one. An entrepreneur needs funds to start a good business or a business. Okay, this is the point where most of the people stop themselves from being an entrepreneur. They're like, okay, I have this idea. I know this product is needed by the clients. We need marketing. We need resources. We need logistics. We need so many things, and we don't have the funds, so we can't do it. It's a big myth. Even though you know it's not true, you still fall for it. Even we had certain point at certain point of time, even we had these same myths. And as I told you back in 2013, I believed I needed funds to start business. But for me, finding funds wasn't a difficult task at all. It was just like a walk in the park, because my dad is a big shot, you know. So thinking that my dad is a big shot and he can support me through thick and thin at any point of time financially, I really did not worry about funds. And what I did was, whenever this idea came up, I had some money on me or from my friends, I just took it and I started off with my business. This reminds me of a story. The story is, there was a person, okay, he really badly failed in his business. The only way out, he thought, was to end his life. This is a true story, by the way. So he decided to go up a bridge and jump from there to the water. So he was climbing on the tip of the handrail of the bridge. He was almost ready to jump. At that point of time, he sees a person sitting next to him, asking him, "Dude, why are you doing this? Come down." He's like, "I can't come down. I really need to jump and end my life because I don't have any other way out now. I don't have funds. I have so much payables, credit, loans. My house is going to be taken away. I can't support my family." All those stuff. He had so many terrible problems. So this guy says, "Your problem is money, right? I'm the owner of this particular company, which is supposed to be one amongst the top companies in USA, and I'm the founder of it. How much money will solve your problem?" This guy's like, "Are you serious? Dude, seriously, how much money is your problem?" So this guy says a couple of thousands dollars. And this guy says, "You come in the morning to my office and collect that check from my office. It will be done. It will be taken care. You don't have to worry, and don't end your life." So this guy, okay, decides, okay, I'll not end my life. He's walking back home. Now he has that belief, okay, there is funds behind him. So what he's going to do is he's going to call the people whom he owns, and he's like, "Listen guys, I've got it sorted. Don't worry, I'll be paying you guys." He calls his suppliers and says, "Listen, I need some more goods to come in. I'll be paying you within these many days." He got it all planned and all sorted, saying that tomorrow morning he'll get the funds and he will sort this out. So next day morning he went to that office and he's like, "I have an appointment with your owner. is this guy's name this? Yeah, this guy's name is this, but you don't have an appointment. You will have to wait. So this guy waited over there for half an hour, 1 hour. So he starts getting called because he got an order and he has to do something about it. He goes for it. He gets the first order. He gets some funds. He pays off some suppliers. And within a couple of days, he was solving all his problems from the funds which he thought he would get, but he earned it by himself, and he was solving his problems. So same way, even I was doing the same. Thinking that my dad will be supporting me, I was solving all my problems. So one day came, this guy became a really good entrepreneur, he became famous, and he was being interviewed, and they asked him, you had such a dip in your business life, what changed? So he said, what changed was I met the founder of this company, and he promised to fund me. And that was the courage I had to change everything around. But later on, he discovered that was just a belief he had. The man whom he actually met at the bridge was a madman or a crazy person who used to tell everyone he's the founder of that company. He actually didn't have any money on him. He was just a person who was homeless and just spending his night there. So you see, when you have that belief itself, things can change. So don't wait for funds, be confident and do the things you are supposed to do. Why I'm telling you my story with this is because even though I thought I have all funds sorted, I went to my dad one day and I told him, Dad, see, I'm running short of some funds. Can I have some money? He didn't give me the money. Not only that, he told me a story. The second story was, he's like, two people were there. They planted trees. They were neighbors. So one guy used to water it every day, put fertilizer, clean the area. And the other guy, he looks, sometime here and there, he waters his plant. Years passed, and one day there was a heavy rain and storm. The guy who took care of his plant so well, his plant fell. And this guy, his plant was still standing tall, or his tree was still standing tall. I was like, Dad, what's the point? So he's like, I don't want to be the other guy whose plant falls, because he gave everything to it and it did not root itself so well that it could stand a storm. I want to be the other guy who didn't water it properly, so the plant went deep down and searched for water, which gave it a proper root and a proper base. That is his story. He meant to say he's not going to help me with funds. But again, that didn't stop me. We kept on going. So it should be the same for you guys. You believed and had an expectation of getting funds from somewhere. It didn't work out. No worry. Keep going. We'll go into myth number 6. A product sells itself. You build something and you feel like that's the best thing in the world. Everyone needs it. People are eagerly waiting it to be, used. And once you launch as a t-shirt, you come to know nobody actually needs it. Or people don't buy it just because it's a great product. You need different tools to actually sell that product into the market. You need to educate people. You need to pass on information. You need to do marketing. You need to do sales. You need to do branding. So all these things are actually required to sell your product. So certain entrepreneurs, they believe so much in their product, they miss out on all these points and they see their product is not selling and they give up. Even we had that point, but don't stop there. You now know there are different aspects to it. Add a little more things to your services and make your product special. For that, I have an example for you from Bangalore itself. I think you guys know about the company called ID Fresh, which is based out of Bangalore, and they sell ready-made batter for dosa, idli, and all those stuff. So what is it? It's just a product which was readily made and made people's life easy. But it did not sell and be the brand it is today just because of that. He did so many beautiful things and innovations to make that product a really good product and marketed it so well and sold it so good. How he started was he built a product which is perishable, which is the batter. He had to give it to the small shopkeepers, and he knew it wouldn't stay for long if it is kept outside. So he supplied them with small refrigerators like how Pepsi and Coca-Cola did to keep his batter over there. So now it's not just the product what he is focusing on. He is focusing on a way to sell it better. And then he introduced refrigerated vehicles for his logistics. So that again helped to keep his product better and logistics and sales better. So it's not just about the perfect product. It's also about logistics, marketing, sales, branding, all those put together. So guys, don't just focus so much on your product. Also, you make sure you sell it by using all the other tools we have. Myth number 7, starting a new business guarantees freedom. Okay. One of my friends, he was working with a company, and I asked him, why do you want to be a businessman? He's like, dude, I'm working all the time, 5 days a week. I just want to, have some free time in my life. I want work-life balance, all those stuff. And that is the reason he wanted to be an entrepreneur. I couldn't really find a way to explain to him that's not really how entrepreneurship works. I'm sure you obviously get out of a particular set routine which you have, but trust me, you are working 40 hours a week and you're giving it up for nothing less than 80 hours a week. Nothing less than 80 hours a week. It's just that work-life balance, even though entrepreneurs do have a work-life balance, it's not how you think. Work-life balance doesn't mean you work for 8 hours, you sleep for 8 hours, and then the rest of the 8 hours you do your passionate things. All these are happening in YouTube channels, I know, but an entrepreneur life, that's not how really things are happening. It's real responsibility, accountability you have on your shoulders. You actually have to get ready mentally to witness these and give 80 hours, have n number of cup of coffees, sleepless nights, going to sleep at 5 or you wake up at 5. Either way, this is a part of entrepreneurship. And you just have to embrace it. Why don't we get the point? If you have to be like someone else, you have got to do something else what others don't do. So you can't expect to work for less than 40 hours and be an entrepreneur and achieve something. So don't ever think starting a new business is guaranteeing you freedom, work-life balance, and so much time to do other things. Obviously, it is going to give you all those things at a point of time when you change from an entrepreneur to a well-established business. So that's a myth over there. And then we have 8th myth, launching a company quickly leads to wealth. This is again a reason why people want to be an entrepreneur. They say, I want to make some quick money, and I think entrepreneurship is a way. The truth is, for some people, it does really work out that way, but most of the cases, first 1 to 3 years, people are really struggling to survive, or some people reach break even. It depends on how they're planning on their expansion, how they're planning on their scaling. It's not like anybody who gets into entrepreneurship, couple of months, couple of years, you're all rich, big shot, driving a Rolls Royce, chauffeur driven, or you have a Audi R8 by yourself, well suited. No, that is not entrepreneurship. And I can surely tell you this because it's been 2013. I told you I started. It's 2020, 7 years down the line. Still struggling big time, and quickly leads to wealth. Whatever we get, we buy only things we need. We don't have a fancy spending habit. It might be there sometime down the line, but surely not for now. We reinvested in our company and we want better things to happen. So all those things happen. So don't focus, your main focus shouldn't be of creating quick wealth. And if you have that perception, you will be really disappointed. And I wouldn't lie, I thought I would have great wealth maybe 2-3 years or 4 years max. But as I told you, 7 years, still struggling. So it differs from person to person. You don't have to be disappointed. If you feel low, face it, and go ahead. You have to be on the move. Your day will come. So it doesn't really bring you quick at all. Then this is the myth which I see a lot on social media. That is, there is a key to success. I sometimes get invited like this, to speak in front of a few people, and most of the time the topic goes the secret key to success. And I really want to tell them, everyone I know, surely there is no key to success, and if there is one, I really don't have it to give it to you. Nor does any other company really have it. For example, you take Amazon today and you say, okay, these are the key success points they did to achieve this. This is Flipkart, what they did to achieve success. Man, that's not true. If you were doing this research 5 years back, you would have told Nokia is the biggest telephone company in the world, and these are their key to success. And where are they today? Do you even own one? Whereas at that point of time, everyone had it. That was the only phone you had. So it's not a particular key that leads to success. You have to be always evolving. And okay, maybe it's not a key, but it's a key chain. And it includes so many things. It includes the right time, right place, right people, right resources, right customers. So many things is what, and your hard work, your knowledge, technology, everything falling together gives you success. So it's a combination of different keys which leads to your success. And I'm sorry to say this, even I was a victim for this. There are certain people who write books, do video blogs, make posters on Instagram, who are not entrepreneurs, and they claim to have the key to success for an entrepreneur. They say you wake up at 5, you run for 1 hour, you sweat it out, then you come, you read for 1 hour, and then you meditate for 1 hour. If you're doing all these things, I really don't know when you will be working to get to be really successful. I'm not saying all these are not important. It is important, but doing only that, I tried waking up at 5 o'clock for at least 2 months. It's just that I lost some sleep, which I could have actually enjoyed. It's actually how you think, how many things you get done, how you get done, your passion behind it. So there is no particular key to success. So don't fall for that myth. You have to try out different things. It's all a trial and error. My last myth for you would be quitting is for losers. Many people don't want to be an entrepreneur because if they fail, they'll have to quit and they'll have that tag of the failure for a long time. And that fear of unseen stops them from being an entrepreneur. To be very frank, entrepreneurs lose and they start again, and that's why they are called entrepreneurs. Firstly. Secondly, to be an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to quit your job. So entrepreneurship starts from quitting. It doesn't end at quitting. It starts at quitting something. There are a lot of sacrifices you have to make while you're an entrepreneur. And there is something actually called as exit strategy when you be an entrepreneur. So if things don't work out, you actually try something new and you quit from what you were before. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. Entrepreneurs can keep trying until it works for them. So don't be afraid of this tag called losers, and that fear shouldn't stop you from starting something. This is a key point, and my last point to discuss with you guys: business either flourish or fail. Most of the people have this misconception of success or of business that the graph goes in two ways. One is it starts at a point A and it goes A, B, C, D till a number, 100, 100 or something like that. Or the graph goes down, which means it fails. And if it goes up towards the north, it's it's a successful business. But trust me, that's not at all how a business works. A business is just like the graph you have seen for your heartbeat. You have a profitable project, a successful project. On the next project, you might fail. Or you have a profitable project, a successful month, a successful year. You have consecutive years, but again, some of your projected idea or a product fails. So you have a dip. So it's a lot of ups and downs. It's not just a straight line towards the north or towards the south. So that is one key point I believe in to keep my business alive. Like the heartbeat, it goes up and down. And that realization actually helped me to understand my business and keep it going. So that would be that. I thought that would be my last message for you guys to keep in mind. And I really hope this presentation and things I said really help you to be an entrepreneur. If it helped anybody to to clear your barricades or hurdles you had in your mind, which were myth and in your mind, and it got cleared, and you really know what is the reality, I hope you become a great entrepreneur, a successful businessman or woman one day. I'll see you guys in the market. Thank you, ma'am. That's all from my side. And
thank you so much, Mazen.
Most welcome, ma'am.
I think it's been a great session. Thanks so much for your time and your effort. I'm sure you spoke for 1 hour, but I'm sure you would have prepared so many hours to do this presentation. So really appreciate all your efforts. Thanks so very much.
Thank you so much. It was, I'm really, really happy I could share this, and I really hope it in a form helps someone and to be an entrepreneur. And I hope to see them in the market outside, especially because of current situation. There's a lot of unemployment and things, and entrepreneurship, as you said, has a chance. And not only technology or biotechnology, but there is hope for agriculture back again, because people know we have to go back to soil, but with entrepreneurial methods. So I'm hoping, so many hearing out this are tomorrow's wonderful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we hope for the same too, Mazen. There's one question in the chat box. How do you stay motivated every time? And do we really need to have a good team for a successful startup?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. Questions
from Haripriya.
Okay, thank you for your question, Haripriya. The first question was, how do you stay motivated all the time? And the answer to it is, I'm not motivated all the time. And most of them are not. Happiness, motivation, sadness, all are reactions or reflex actions we give towards something. So for example, today morning I woke up, there is nothing as such in my mind. I come with a normal straight face to office. And when I come in, my guy, he's working hardly on something, that makes me happy. And that, that moment creates happiness. And if I close a big deal, that gives me happiness. But that's not a state of mind you're always in. There is no such thing that you're always happy. For example, if I claim I'm always happy and always motivated, what if I lose someone very close in my family? It could be anybody, or someone who is very close to me in any other way. It's obviously I'm going to be sad how much of money I have in my bank, or how much of a big team or whatever I have, I'm going to be sad. So that is just a state of mind. Even motivation goes the same way. You need to do something, and for me, I have a fear of losing. And that fear actually, when I'm about to give up on something, I'm like, okay, I can't lose. And that fear helps me and pushes me to do something. So that is, at that point of time, that fear pushes me. It's not always I'm motivated, but when I need that push, I think of where I have started, where I have come, and where I have to be. And that is not in comparison with anybody. And some people even relate motivation with success. Just a clarification on success as well. Successful people are motivated, but success is not, again, a destination. Success is just a position you are in today, and tomorrow you might define it differently. If you have to evaluate your success, are you successful? If I ask you, Haripriya, you might say, not today, sir, but surely someday tomorrow, and you see it as a future. But if you ask me, I would say I'm a successful person, and I evaluate my success by looking at my past. And I strongly believe success is evaluated by looking at past, where I was and where I am. It's not where I'm going to be. And that's not a destination at all. Your success. And sometimes people define you as success. Like Byju's, he's a success. Amazon, he's a success. So people define success with your name. So I wish you have a day when success is defined by your name, Haripriya, and all the others over here. Also, do you need a strong team? I would definitely say yes. Moreover, sometimes they turn into family for you. Some people stay for long. And when you're talking about team, I have a problem with my team. We are graphic designers. It takes a lot of effort, and some people don't get it. So they tend to leave all of a sudden one day. So my partner told me, Mazen, we won't invest anymore in training our people because they leave one day at any cost. So I asked him, what if they stay? Now we don't invest in them saying they leave. What if we don't invest and they don't leave and they stay here as they are? And then I recalled this Rina Mamulli thing said in class once. Mr. Narayan Murthy said his assets are his team and his people. So your answer to your question is people and team is really important, but a business cannot completely depend on them, and someone leaving or coming in shouldn't affect the complete existence or survival of your company. You have to get over that as well. I hope I answered it.
Yes, thank you, Mazen. We have one last question, which is more crucial, the startup or the execution?
Startup or the execution? See, whatever I have explained through my slides, I tried to explain, I would say rather, is it's a lot about your mindset. Okay. So execution part or starting up both needs a lot of convincing yourself in your shower, in your private places, wherever you are. You need a lot of convincing yourself, to get things done. So startup and execution actually goes hand in hand. As I said before, can you, the person who asked, I think you will be able to answer if I ask you to define what is a startup. Okay. So anyway, I'll just tell you what is my thinking of startup. Startup is somewhere you have an idea and which needs to be grown at a very fast rate, and it's something which will change and influence people's lives, and it has a lot of risk. It might work or it might not work. So that is the idea of a startup. And execution part is getting it done. So it goes in correlation. You can't differentiate. You have to have by starting up, what you meant was getting started, then both needs equal convincing to go through. Maybe starting will be more easier than execution, because execution is not a one-day thing. It's a long journey, my brother or sister, whoever asked it. So it's a long journey. You will need to have better patience during your journey.
Okay, thank you so much, Mazen. And over to Haripriya for the formal welcome. Vote of thanks.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all. I, Haripriya, deem it a great privilege to present before you to place on record the contribution of every noble heart towards the success of this meet. All reserved and unreserved appreciation and gratitude grows to the Almighty God for showering blessings upon us and making this meeting remarkable. I'm indeed grateful to thank our respected speaker of the day, Mr. Mazen Mustafa. We should thank you for sharing your inspirational journey towards success. The way you just linked all your myths with your entrepreneur journey made this meet quite interesting. A special thanks to the special story you shared. We ensure that all your tips will be followed when we'll be starting our own business. I sincerely thank IASMS for providing us opportunity to learn all new things. Thanks to all the organizers, faculty, and technical team of IA School of Management Studies. I again want to thank all our participants for your zeal to learn. Without you, this meeting wouldn't be successful. Thank you all. I request everyone to submit your valuable feedback before you leave the session. The feedback link was shared in the chat box. Please fill and submit your feedback to receive the e-certificate within 15 minutes. Thank you all.
Okay, ma'am.